Elyse, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Hey, it's great to be here.
So
Thanks, Joe.
yeah, you bet. So before we get into your world of writing and being a book coach, I want to know this. 5 years ago, this pandemic probably brought all kinds of people publishing books and being at home and writing, and just in general, it changed so many things. How did you get through that era, and how has it influenced the way that you approach things today?
Well, 5 years ago, like where I was in COVID, I was in South Africa.
Okay.
And so it was a completely different experience from what you guys experienced here in the United States
Yeah.
because South Africa as a country shut down, where you were not allowed to go outside unless you were going to the grocery store, the hospital, or the bank.
Yeah.
So we were literally trapped inside our houses. So the way that that changed, like book coaching and writing, was that instead of like being in person and talking with people, we started over Zoom, which actually made it more accessible to for authors to get more help and authors to meet with me because I'm in South Africa. I had people from California and Minnesota, even South Africa and Illinois, Florida, and we could talk
Yeah.
and we could do that coaching. So I believe that the pandemic made us more creative and how we connected.
I agree. I totally agree. So let's get into exactly what you do right now on a daily basis for your work. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds. It's career day. You're at a school, and one of the kids is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
Well, when I tell people that I'm a book coach, I get blank faces
Yeah.
because it's actually quite a new title.
Yeah.
Most people will look at you and be like, I know what an editor is. And so I go, okay, so an editor works on the story, but a book coach works with the author.
Yeah.
So I do exactly what an editor do or does. I look at the story, I find its strengths and its weaknesses, and I help the author to decide how they're going to fix it. And I propose my own suggestions. But as a book coach, I also go deeper because I work with writers while they write. That means, giving the feedback on a page. Um, but I'm also the project manager because I break down the big goals of writing a story or editing, and I break them into small, doable, maybe even weekly goals. I'm also that person that will brainstorm with the author. I'm a trusted sounding board. You can give me the most ridiculous ideas and I'll help you work them out.
Yeah.
And even if they don't work, it's like we're still getting that creativity going.
Yeah.
So, and I help my authors push through their mental blocks because writing is so much more than just writing the story.
So when you were 12 years old, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Funny enough, I wanted to be a nurse, and that's
Okay.
what I studied to be.
Okay.
Like, I studied and graduated with my BSN, and then I immediately flew to South Africa to work with a Christian nonprofit. And my role was supposed to be writing health radio programs for communities in Africa. But not long after I arrived, the position was dissolved. Then, when I had my first child, I was quietly told that my real role was to go home and enjoy being a mom, which I did for about 4 years. Um, and one child later, so after having two kids, I started feeling really restless and unseen and unfulfilled. Something in me just ached to create and just contribute more than just being a mom, even though it's a wonderful role, and to use my voice. And I have always loved reading, especially fantasy and sci-fi. And I've always been good at editing. Once my position had dissolved in the Christian nonprofit, I started doing copy editing for them. So I leaned into that skill. And copy editing was a good first step, but I don't love working with the language part as much as I do the story part. So that's why I jumped into developmental editing, which is very much diving deep into the story. But still something was missing with that part. And that's when I found Author Accelerator, which is the group that I got certified with as a book coach. And the reason that book coaching was so perfect for me is I really wanted to connect with a writer beyond just the words. Because people would, send me their manuscript, I would go through it and I'd send it back. There was no good communication during or afterwards.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to sit with them and listen to their struggles and help them to believe in themselves. And so book coaching was exactly what I'm supposed to do in this world.
What was the first book for you? What was kind of the gateway to you to loving books and getting to this point of being a book coach?
Okay, as a kid, my first book into loving was called Redwall by Brian Jakes. And there's a whole series of them, but it's cute little like mice and like hares and like all these like cute little rodents. And they're peace-loving creatures and they fight with kind of what you would call like the vermin, the stoats and the rats and it's all of that story between good and evil and the idea that even though you're small, you can still be a hero. And like as a child, I loved that.
Yeah.
Just that empowering feeling of, the small person who is underestimated taking down bullies,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
But the one who really got me back into fantasy as an adult was Brandon Sanderson. And he has, I mean, a whole Cosmere. And there's so many good stories. But again, there's a lot of that fight between good and evil and bringing down the oppressors and standing up for what's right, even though it's hard. And besides the amazing world building and the characters that you just fall in love with, and then he tears your heart out.
Yeah.
It's like I love that feeling and really getting into someone's mind and getting into their world.
Yeah. So who's been a hero? Who's been an inspiration for you to find your place, to find what makes sense, which is coaching people?
Mm. Well, my my own book coach, the one who trained me, Jenny Nash, she's the one who created Author Accelerator. She just has a fantastic view of coaching and where it's like when I have the honor of working with an author and they give me their work and I am in charge of ripping it apart, honestly. Their their baby. Like this is a creative work. This is something they poured their heart and soul into. And she really helped me to find that balance between being absolutely candid and also being gentle and encouraging and really bringing out the best in someone instead of ripping them down. Because that's what she inspires in her authors and in all of her coaches that she trains.
So if you could go back in time, or even now with the contemporary, and you could watch somebody create their book writing. I mean, it's not something like we see athletes and we see business people and there's documentaries and there's all this back behind the scenes, but you don't see that much with writing. If you could
Mhm.
watch somebody, a writer, and be a fly on the wall to see how they do it, who would that be?
Oh my gosh. That's a terrible question because there's so many authors that I love.
You can have multiples, that's fine.
As I would say that if it was like back in the past, I would love to be a fly on the wall or even like in conversation with Tolkien
Yeah,
because he's just fantastic at the world building. Even he built languages, which just boggles my mind.
yeah,
And just the character development that he had with so many characters.
yeah,
And I'd say if I was working with a contemporary, I'm a big fan of the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros.
yeah,
And she even lives in Colorado Springs like I do. And I'm just
yeah,
like, oh, I would love to sit down with her and just, plus, I want to know all the secrets of the Empyrean series because
yeah.
the fourth and fifth book haven't come out yet. So it's like, I would love to be on the wall. And plus, her protagonist, Violet Sorrengail, is one of my favorites just because, like I said before, like she is like that weak person that no one expects anything out of, even herself at the beginning, because she suffers with a chronic illness. And she, throughout the series, she discovers herself strong. And I think that's something, especially that people with chronic illnesses need to hear.
So let me ask you this. The book publishing world, just the world of literature, changes all the time. There's just so many things that are infused into it, from self-publishing to overnight successes to the way that even just books become viral these days and people make it. What motivates you every day to stay on top of this ever-evolving industry and to give your clients the best possible edit and advice, and then to also take care of your own soul and your own life? What is that collective energy for you every day?
Mm. Oh, I love that. It is okay. For me, writing a book isn't just about putting words on a page. It's about finding your voice, naming your values, and sharing something that can heal and empower both you and your readers. And the thing is, I know what it feels like to be pushed aside and silenced. And that's why I'm really passionate about helping writers claim their voice and write their story. Because, like, when people hear that I am a book coach, so many people say, oh, I have this dream to write a book. And they don't. And I'm just like, why not? Your book could change the world. And I specifically work with fiction authors. And I believe that fiction changes the world just as much as nonfiction, because fiction gives us that distance to process our reality. But it also brings us closer to human struggles. Like through characters' fears and triumphs and growth, we experience our own. And that's why I do what I do, because stories matter. Like I had a client where she grew up in a time where children were seen and not heard. And I helped her write a children's book. And funny enough, it started out as just a boat safety book, but it turned into a story that children were allowed to voice their objections without judgment. Like the adults listened and they gently educated And then they gave that child a choice. And it was as if my author's inner child was saying, hey, I can speak up about things that I don't agree about, and I can make good choices even when the adults around me were not. And just to see that healing was absolutely amazing. And I mean, she's a grandma now.
Yeah.
And to see that healing from her childhood,
Yeah.
from writing a book, was amazing.
That is. So let me ask you this. Of everything that you've done and accomplished, the clients that you've helped over the years, what are you ultimately the proudest of?
I am the most proud of my author's transformations. It's like, obviously, I am also proud when they publish their book and their version of success is made, because not everyone's version of success is, I sold, hundreds of thousands of copies. I mean, that is always wonderful
Yeah.
because being an author is tough, but it's also them achieving that dream and proving them to themselves that they could do it. It's like that author that I was talking about. I'm going to be working with her on a new book, and it's a book that the idea she has very much struggled with because she is a white woman, but she comes from an indigenous family. And she wants to write a story about her indigenous family, but she always felt like she couldn't because she is a white woman.
Yeah.
And to see her breaking through those mental blocks and writing the story of her family and giving her great great grandmother a voice, like chills.
Yeah.
And seeing another author who came to me and she was ready to quit her third book of a trilogy. She was like, I gave up. I don't care that I'm not finishing this trilogy. It's just not coming. I'm going to write. I've already got an idea for another book. I give up. But I'm going to give you one last chance to convince me. And when I went through it, and honestly, we had to tear it apart and rebuild it. But in that process, her passion reignited for this book. And just to see that passion, and because of that passion, the ideas just and the creativity flowed out of her. Just to see a story that, I don't know, was brought back to life.
Yeah.
And she told me, she was like, oh my goodness, the story is infinitely better. I'm so glad I didn't abandon it. Like, there's just another story that is going to be told
Yeah. Yeah.
because she didn't quit.
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, all of your clients, everyone that you work with, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
So I don't think I run the show. It's like I am the project manager, but my authors are always the god of their story.
Yeah.
It's like they are always the ones who make the final decisions. It's like I am very much there as a guide. And it's like actually one of my authors called me her story therapist. Because she was always telling me, you always get me to dig deeper. It's like you are always making me think deeper and it makes me and my story better. But it's like to for who I think I am, it's like that's what I am for my authors. It's like I'm also the project manager of my home. I have three kids, so I am juggling work, I am juggling kids, home. It's like we just moved this year from South Africa to the United States, and my children were all born in South Africa.
Yeah.
So it's also juggling everyone's mental health as well.
Yeah.
So I am used to juggling and prioritizing and planning. Planning is my skill. Like since I have three kiddos.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If anyone out there wants to write a book and they're curious and they stopped on this interview and really wanted to hear the insights of you and what a coach can do for them, what do you say to potential clients out there to convince them to push forward, to get a coach, to go through and to do it like in your example of it's never too late and you should do it if you feel it? What do you say to those people out there right now?
Mm. So what I would talk to them about is what's holding you back. Because it's like the biggest blocks that I see are perfectionism, the fear of failure, and imposter syndrome. Like when when we were talking how people tell me like, "Oh, I have this dream of writing a book." And I'm like, "Why don't you?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, I don't have time." Or it's like, "I don't have a degree in writing. I'm not a good writer." Like these are excuses because you think that your first draft needs to be perfect, that you have to have your idea all figured out before you start, that you have to get a degree in writing, which every single one of my authors that I have worked with, none of them have had like an MFA or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's like what you need is to take that imperfect first step because big dreams feel scary because they matter. And the blocks that you face aren't proof that you can't do it. They're proof that you're stepping into new territory and your brain is terrified of new territory. And it's like, no, no, you can't do that. But what I also tell people is like, you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
It's like the right community or the right coach like me can help you push through that fear, stay accountable, and keep going when it gets hard.
So if anybody's ready for the next step, they want to reach out, they want to hire you, they have questions, any of the good business in your world, where do they go?
It's like, okay, so I am on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. So, and I always love chatting with people in the DMs. It's like you can follow me and it's like hear a bunch of my content. It's like if you're in Colorado Springs, it's like let's connect. I love not only connecting you to me, but connecting to the Writers Network here in Colorado Springs. It's like the other thing is once we connect, I want you to, well, I invite you to grab my mini blueprint, which is basically getting your story onto one page.
Yeah.
And this isn't like you have to have your idea fully formed. This is to see what you know about your story and where we need to fill in the gaps. And this is that first imperfect step to get you started and to get that momentum flowing. Plus, I have a free webinar where if you're like, I am stuck on a question, that you can come and I explain it all. And I love talking you through some of the more complicated questions, especially, and really getting you to go a little bit deeper about your story and really get that momentum running. So, if you want to connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, um, or you can email me. And I imagine you'll have that in the show notes.
Yes, I will have all of these links in the show notes. So yeah, I will definitely have the guideposts. Elyse, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for your story, your passion. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was really nice chatting with you.
Great talking to you.